listening to Not on the Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com. You can check us out at Facebook, check us out at YouTube, check us out at Rumble. We have the privilege today of sitting, or actually tonight, should I say, of sitting down with, I don't know if he's the head honcho, but he's at least one of the head honchos with the Sleep in Heavenly Peace group. I guess I don't know if it's a group. I guess it's an organization. We're going to find out what it is and what all they do. But I'm sitting here with Mr. Brian Smith. Brian, man, I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to sit down with me and us learn about what all is going on with Sleep in Heavenly Peace.
Well, I'm happy to do that. Sleep in Heavenly Peace is a 501c3 nonprofit.
Okay.
It is a nationwide organization that actually started with one guy, one bed, being built in a garage for one family back in December of 2012 in Kimberly or Twin Falls, Idaho.
Okay.
And it started slowly, but the gentleman's name was Luke Mickelson.
Okay.
As he started progressing, basically, he built one. He supplied it to a family who had asked for one through his church, I believe.
Right.
And then he had some lumber left over and he built another one. So I think he advertised somehow, hey, I have this other bed. And the response kind of gave him an idea of the problem.
I got you.
And it started growing and growing, and friends and family started joining. And then in 2017, Mike Rowe, who had a YouTube program at that time called Returning the Favor.
Okay.
But he's the guy who used to do Dirty Jobs on TV.
Very familiar.
He did a segment on Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and it just kind of exploded from there.
I can imagine.
And from those humble beginnings, now 10 years later, the actual anniversary, 10-year anniversary, was December of 22. So we just finished the 10-year anniversary.
Wow.
And we now have roughly 300 active chapters in the United States, Canada, Bermuda, and the Bahamas.
Okay.
And we have overall, as an organization, put roughly 120,000 children in beds that have been built from scratch, from bare wood, solid wood, by community volunteers. So this is how it operates.
Wow.
And all of our chapters do it the same way.
Okay.
We go out and, first we have to go to in-person training to become a chapter president.
Okay.
We went to Twin Falls, Idaho back in July of 2020 to start our chapter. My wife is actually the one who came up with this. There's a chapter in Beaumont. And Channel 6 in Beaumont did a Hometown Heroes story on the chapter in Beaumont. My wife saw it, caught her attention, and next thing I knew, we were starting a chapter.
I've been brought into some situations like that.
Yeah. She investigated, decided it was legit. Then she started checking bedding prices. For like beds, really. That was an eye opener. She decided she wanted to start a chapter. So she came to me, laid out the whole thing. She said, I want to start a chapter. Do you want to help?
Right. Of course we do.
We had some COVID delays, but we went to training in July of 2020.
Sure.
We had our first public bed build in the Walmart parking lot here in Woodville.
Okay.
September of 2020. And from September of 2020 to now, we have put 581 children. Yeah, 581 children in beds that we've built here in Woodville with community volunteers. So here's what go ahead.
It's so crazy to me. I mean, granted, I don't know. I guess for me, whenever I first heard about you guys, and I just heard through the grapevine, and it really is disturbing at a very core level how blind we are as a people. And I'm speaking mainly about myself, but I don't think I'm alone in this.
No, you're not.
How very blind we are to the basic need of our neighbors. And whenever I heard that you guys were doing this, honestly, I was glad to see that the need was being filled, but it made me nauseous as a father and an uncle to even consider that a kid out here doesn't have a bed. It just seems to me, it seems like somehow or another, obviously I am showing my rear here a little bit, but to be quite frank with you, I won't say I've prided myself on being actively involved in the community, but I think I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I'm asleep at the wheel most days.
Burying your head in the sand.
I'm not trying to, and to realize that there's a group out here over in Woodville who's servicing Tyler County and Jasper County to take care of one of the most basic needs every kid should have met, just blew me away. It really did blow me away because, I think what gets me is not just my own blindness, but maybe there are a lot more people blind to this need. It's like whenever I was growing up in high school and graduating high school, I remember a story of a teacher. She said that she had one of her elementary students wasn't passing. He was really struggling. They followed him home on the school bus. They basically, I don't know if it was a teacher or a counselor or coaches or whatever, but they followed the child home and found out that this child was living in a home with no electricity, and he did not have time to be able to get his schoolwork done before there were no lights. And I'm sitting here going, what are we doing? I don't know. I think as a community, it showed a huge deficit. And I think that's one of the things that this thing tapped for me was just even just a minute ago. I'm sitting here before us getting on and I'm scrolling through the pictures that are on y'all's Facebook account here for the Sleep in Heavenly Peace in Woodville. And I am just floored, man. I'm floored. And it's to see you guys go from Woodville out there in the stinking Walmart parking lot. You talk about pulling the pieces together, man. You guys are under little awnings. Y'all had the saws, everything set up and going. It was just really floored me and it made me very thankful for the fact that some people in the community saw the need and really decided, specifically your wife, and I don't even know her, but hallelujah for her, man. And everybody who's been involved, because God almighty, man, who would, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I've had such a hard time wrapping my mind around the fact that there are kids in these communities that we live in, How many of the churches, and I'm not going to dog off on churches, but I'm just going to say this. How many people are giving money outside of the county, potentially outside of the state or the nation? And we got kids here in this community, in these communities that we live in. I mean, I saw one of the shirts, the back of one of the shirts. Maybe you can help me with what it says. I think it says no child sleeps on the floor in our town.
That's right.
Man, that got me, dude. I mean, I'm drinking coffee, so I ain't tearing up. I'm just going to say that much.
Well, when I go out and make presentations, I choke up on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Because I'm a soft-hearted old man. I don't think we, as an organization, do not think that there is any other agency or organization that is actually trying to measure how many children have no beds. Our organization is attempting to do that, particularly in the cities where we've been longer, so it's easier to quantify. And to the best of the ability of our organization's measuring capabilities, it appears so far that roughly 2 to 3% of all American children have no beds. They are sleeping on an air mattress on the floor. They're sleeping on a radial mattress on the floor that probably should have been thrown away 5 years ago. They're sleeping on a couch. Or you have some 8, 9, 10-year-old who's still sleeping with an adult.
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with. And most of us have never seen this.
No.
We're not aware of it. And it was only after my wife saw the story on Beaumont chapter and started investigating. But even then, we had no concept of the quantity of children that we might be serving.
Right.
So since September of 2020 until a couple of days ago, we had put 581 children in our beds. And the way that this operates is we have, fortunately, we got beyond the Walmart parking lot.
I noticed that too.
we started out, we were actually leasing what used to be McClure's old furniture place right across from the Woodville ISD admin building.
Okay.
And we started out, we were paying $200 out of our SHP budget and $300 a month out of our own pockets because we wanted a space in which to build.
Right.
And we didn't have to be mobile. There are a whole lot of chapters that are 100% mobile.
Okay.
They have no building. They always operate in someone's parking lot out of a trailer. And my wife and I are a little too old to try to operate that way.
Okay.
We were lucky enough that it turned out through a various set of events that for 18 months, we wound up having free rent and free utilities thanks to Phil McClure in Woodville in that 3,100 square foot space.
Wow.
And then property taxes changed. Things had to change. And then a fellow named Jerry Caruth, who has a propane supply place down on the south side of Woodville.
Okay.
Got a catty cornered across the street from Jerry's saw shop.
Okay.
He has an old mini warehouse building out in the back of him.
Yeah.
It's 2,100 square feet. and he let us move in there. There's no electricity. There's no bathroom, but I have an excellent new chapter co-president, Stanley Kleberg, who is a realtor here locally.
Okay.
And he got in and he ran all kinds of wiring and sockets and plug-ins and all sorts of things and lights. We bring in a couple of generators. We plug into those. We have full power for everything we need.
Wow.
There is a porta potty company that's giving us a special deal monthly, ABC out of Huntington. We have a porta potty and a hand washing station there every month when we have our build. So once a month from about 7:45 a.m. until 12 to 1, depending on how long we need to go, we have a whole bunch of people come in and we build beds in an assembly line production. We pull lumber. We have a measuring jig. So we don't use tape measures. It's a measuring jig that keeps it consistent all the time.
Right.
So measuring jig, saw. We work up our bundles of lumber that make up our headboards. Those go out to the sanding tables. We have a whole bunch of people on sanding tables, and then they go to various other stations after that.
Right.
When we finish at the end of that day, we have headboards, which are also footboards, same thing. Sideboards with a ledger attached. Slats, top bunk guardrails, and we've built all of those, and we keep them there. And then, and every piece gets branded, literally, with a hot brand, just like branding a steer.
Okay.
SHP, Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We have a solution in which we dunk all of the pieces except the slats. It's
Okay.
a vinegar, very, very fine steel wool solution.
Okay.
Steel wool disintegrates into the vinegar, just turns it a rusty color. It does two things. One, I'm told it is an old-fashioned aging process. It pulls out the wood grain, and the other is, even though these are dry when we deliver them, apparently it still has some tiny, tiny vestige of vinegar smell, and bed bugs don't like vinegar. So
Okay.
for at least a little while, our clients get bed bug protection after we deliver.
Okay.
So we build these components. We stack them up in the shop. We've gone out and we have put out the word everywhere that we can think of to put it out.
Sure.
CPS, school districts. We've put brochures in dollar stores and service stations and churches and all kinds of places so that people can learn about us. We've even been to washaterias in apartment complexes and put out brochures. So someone hears about us, they think they need a bed, they go to our website, shpbeds.org.
Okay.
I keep calling it a button because I'm old-fashioned.
Okay. Sure.
You click on this thing on the website that says apply for a bed. And it is super simple. Let me tell you, if a 74-year-old man like me can do it on a smartphone, anyone else can.
Sure.
So they apply. What we basically want to know is, on what are the children sleeping? Okay? So they fill out the application. It goes into the website. I want to say probably within an hour or two, maybe faster. My wife, who is our applications manager, gets a thing on her phone that says you have a new bed request. She pulls it up, opens it up. She calls them, asks them a few simple questions. If they qualify, which 95% of the time they do, if they honestly have no beds for the kids, then we're going to take care of it. So she'll approve it. Then we have 2 delivery coordinators. We have a delivery coordinator here in Tyler County, and we have another one over in Jasper County. She sends it out. She creates a delivery sheet and sends it to the appropriate delivery coordinator. They call the client and set up a day and approximate time to make a delivery. We go out with the components, the bed components, a brand new mattress, all new sheets, new comforter or blanket, new pillow, pillowcase, etc. We go put it together in their residence. We make the bed. And when we leave, it's ready to sleep.
Wow. Wow. Man. So you guys have put out, y'all have tried to get the word out with pretty much everybody that you know. I mean, everybody that you can.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you guys see quite a bit of feedback from those organizations or schools, things like that, or do you really see more of an individual? The individuals going to the website, or how does that? I mean, I know you said you go to the website, click on the button, apply for the bed. But do you see really any kind of responses from the organizations?
We do occasionally get referrals from CPS.
Okay.
I've had personally a couple of calls from educators that I know personally who are making a referral. But most of it comes through the website. It all ultimately, one way or another, it all has to go through the website.
Sure.
So that HQ can keep track of everything that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our headquarters, and I think it's worth mentioning here, our headquarters only has a very, very, very few full-time paid people.
Okay.
Almost everyone in our hierarchy is an unpaid or virtually unpaid volunteer.
Right.
We only have I think 6 or 7 people who are full-time on a payroll.
So we're not talking about a Red Cross type situation at all.
No.
Wow.
And
that's no knock on the Red Cross. I'm just saying.
But this brings up another good point I want to make. Let's say that you personally walked up to me and handed me a $20 bill and said, I want to help you build beds. I go to the grocery store. I buy a money order for $20. I pay the 75 cents out of my own pocket, and I send that $20 to headquarters. Every single penny of donations that we receive goes to headquarters. It's all accounted for. And what they do is once a quarter, they pull 10%. That's it. 90% of everything that we get for this chapter is available for us to spend specifically on building beds.
Wow.
And headquarters goes out and negotiates with folks like Lowe's. Lowe's is our biggest national donor.
Really?
To a huge degree.
Wow. That's awesome.
Huge degree. So that gives you some idea of the national degree of legitimacy with which we are recognized.
Right.
Our headquarters has negotiated special mattress pricing with several different companies,
Wow.
and we get mattresses cheaper than most furniture places can buy them.
Wow. That's awesome.
There are, and then they have other folks with whom they negotiate that donate one way or another.
Right.
They give us a tremendous amount of support. We have a website that they are improving all the time in terms of how to help us do our job better.
Right.
And yet the amount that we have to spend right here in Tyler County and Jasper County is higher with our organization than almost any other nonprofit around. So I'm very proud of that. And we are strictly accountable for what we do. And we get a profit and loss statement every week. Every Saturday morning, we get a profit and loss statement, every chapter, that shows every single dollar that has come in from whomever and every single dollar that has gone out for whatever. And it's all itemized. So we know exactly what we have every week. And we know that, as I call it, SHP headquarters.
Right.
They are busting their buns to do the best they can to help us help children.
Sure.
At this level.
Absolutely. So tell me this, man. Now, if you've got somebody out there and they're listening right now, we obviously know how to apply for a bed now. What's that website again if they want to apply?
shpbeds.org. shpbeds.org.
Okay. So if they want to apply for a bed, they can start there. Click on the apply for the bed button. I still call it a button too. So, but beyond that, man, if there's a business out there, if there's a couple out there, if there's folks out there who's just, meandering about here online and they run across this here in the area, how do they go about supporting you guys in any way, shape, or form? Obviously, cash, seeing you in the Walmart parking lot and bringing you some cash, that's one thing, but you still got to pay that 75 cents. But how can they best serve you guys on the donation side of things right now?
Okay. Our number one desire financially is for build sponsors.
Okay.
A company that is willing to sponsor either an entire build or a half build.
Okay. What does that look like monetarily?
Well, each bed, including mattress, bedding, etc., costs right about $250.
Okay.
And we normally build between 25 and 30 beds in a build in a 4 to 5 hour period once a month. But if someone is willing to give us $5,000 for 20 beds, that's a full sponsor.
Okay.
And granted, there's only so much that we can do because we're a nonprofit.
Right.
And, somebody gives you $5,000, you don't want to go spend $500 on acknowledging their gift. Right. But we can get a sign that we have a frame, and we can get a sign that says building sponsor and have a sign that has their name on it.
Right.
We make sure that on build day and before build day and after build day, we blast it all over Facebook,
Okay.
giving them as much recognition as we can find a way to give them.
Okay.
A half sponsor, if someone can come up with 2,000, 2,500, that's good for calling it a half sponsor. And we can have two. We've done that before.
Okay.
Any cash donation is needed and appreciated.
Okay.
There are a number of local businesses who have given us anywhere from 250 to 1,000 just as a donation. Every single chapter has to be financially self-supporting.
I got you.
So if we are going to survive in Tyler and Jasper counties, we have to raise that money locally. Now,
Okay.
if we get lucky, we find an organization that will give us a grant. And we have a couple of companies that have given us grants 2 years in a row.
Okay.
And I'm hoping for a third this year.
Absolutely.
Some have been bigger than others, and some are only going to do it once, and others will do it year after year, but in a smaller quantity. But if you think about 2022, we put 267 children in our hand-built beds. So, turn my calculator on. 267 times 250 means we needed $66,750 to provide beds with mattresses and bedding and everything. And you also have to think about the fact that, we've purchased tools.
Right.
Some of those tools with use will stop working.
Yes.
We'll have to buy new ones.
Right.
We have consumables. We have screws that we use every build to put our components together.
Right.
We go through a lot of sanding discs.
I believe you.
When we put our beds together, those beds are put together with 5/16 by 5-inch lag screws.
Okay.
And we use a drill driver with a socket. All of those cost money.
Yeah.
All factors into an average of $250 a bed.
Yeah.
So if we're going to supply 267 children, we have to find sources for $66,000.
That's right.
Or we don't have beds to supply.
Or 15 full-time sponsors. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Well, here's the problem. Tyler County and Jasper County don't have a tremendous amount of industry as you would have like in Harris County.
Well, true.
And a lot of small businesses can only do so much, if anything.
Yeah. Right. No doubt.
So it's always a challenge to find businesses and organizations that can help us come up with enough money. And then there's a second challenge. Let's say we've met the financial challenge.
Sure.
So once a month, we come in to build beds. If we don't have enough volunteers we're not going to build enough beds to last us for that month.
Yeah.
We've had that for the last roughly 5 months in a row now.
A lack of
Where
volunteers.
not having enough volunteers for that 4 to 5 hour period means that we didn't have enough beds built, and means that we ran out of beds before the next build. And we have people on a waiting list. Now, there are a lot of chapters that have a waiting list 2 arms long.
Right.
We have been blessed here, probably because we're in a smaller community than some of the others, that we've not had that problem. And it hurts my heart when we have to tell people we have no beds and you have to wait.
Right.
When I hear about someone who legitimately, as far as we know, needs a bed, our number one priority is to take care of that problem as quickly as we can.
That's right.
So those children do not sleep in those undesirable conditions any longer.
Yeah.
And so when we don't have enough volunteers to build enough beds, and I have to tell people, I'm sorry, you have to wait 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
It just hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart.
Man. No doubt. Let me ask you this, specific to volunteers. How many volunteers, if you were going to run full staff on volunteers, what kind of number would you be looking for?
45 to 48 or 49 would be optimal.
So if you could find 50 people and it's 5 hours on a Saturday?
Yes.
How many Saturdays a week or a month, rather? One Saturday
a month.
A month.
The second Saturday of every month.
Show up to your location and build.
Yes. We work for about 2 hours. We take a 15 to 20 minute break with snacks and drinks. And then we work until now it started out, we were just working for 4 hours, period. And we cut it off.
Right.
In the last few times I've said, okay, today we have a goal of X number of beds.
Right.
We've never done before. And I've said, okay, work till you have to leave. And some of us are going to stay here and work until hopefully we achieve the goal that we have for today.
Right.
So if somebody can only come in and work from 7:45 until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's better than nothing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If somebody can only work from 10:20 until we quit, that's better than nothing.
Right.
Anything. The optimum would be 45 to 50 people once a month, every second Saturday, and we could really knock out beds and make sure that we don't have people on a waiting list.
Yeah. Man, I know because you're directly, your hands on, your boots on the ground. I mean, for God's sakes, your wife helped encourage your assistance in her endeavor. And thank God for that. But
yes,
the truth is, man, it is, in a way, it kind of reminds me of this scene. I can see this in my head. And while you were talking about that, about, trying to hit a number before you shut down at the end of the day. on a Saturday, you're sitting there in the back of your mind going, okay, how many kids are not going to get in a bed because we shut off early? How many kids are going to have to be pushed off, because we didn't stay and continue the work or didn't have the volunteers or whatever the case is? It's almost in my head, and I don't want to over dramatize this at all, but I mean, to me, it kind of has that whole last scene of Schindler's List type of vibe on it, where it's like, he's sitting there looking at everything he could have sold to save just a few more people, and it just has that energy about it to me. And maybe it's just because I'm Irish and I'm dramatic, but neither here nor there. My thing is this, man. This is so gut wrenching to me in a lot of ways because of just how real this need is, and just how very real it is under our nose.
Let me tell you, when you go to make deliveries in some of these homes, that's gut wrenching.
Yeah.
I've been in homes that I've walked in and I've been carrying a couple of headboards or sideboards or something like that, and the floor has bounced such under my feet that I've been worried about falling through.
Yeah.
I've been in situations where you walk in and you're going, oh my gosh. And down to the very core of your heart,
yeah,
this is why I do this.
Yeah.
This is why I do this.
Right. Golly, man. It's sobering.
I remember one of the early deliveries. Let's see if I can get through this, because this one always chokes me up. Little girl was about 5 or 6. We set up her single bed. You know what snow angels are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She got in the middle of the bed and started doing snow angels in the bed. Saying, my bed, over and over.
Gosh. Man. Whew.
Forget that. And you get teenagers. Normally the teenagers are a bit more reserved.
Sure.
Sometimes a little embarrassed.
Right.
We never say anything about charity or this or that or the other, anything. But they're smart enough to know. They know mom and dad didn't pay for it.
Right.
So, but there was this 15-year-old. He could not wait to help me put his bed together.
That's awesome.
And then there was another one that lived in these, nothing more than a shanty.
Right.
And we put 2 singles in this tiny little living room, barely squeezed them in. I think we finished about 7 o'clock putting these in. And when was the last time you had a teenager who wanted to go to bed at 7 o'clock. I don't think I've ever seen one.
I've never
One of the
seen
kids climbed in his bed, pulled up the covers, and spoke to his mom and said, "Can we turn out the lights? I'm ready to go to bed now."
Wow. Man, God almighty. Whew.
You don't forget those.
Man.
And I have more stories like that than I can shake a stick at.
Telling you, man, you got me. God almighty. Killing me over here.
Well, that just
Good
makes
Lord.
two of us.
Man, oh man. I tell you, if God, you know, I think about how a lot of times we just get so wrapped up living our life, man. We get so wrapped up living our life, and you know, one of the kickbacks I'll throw at you about Tyler and Jasper County. Yeah, I agree. They don't have a whole lot of industry, but they got some very big companies in this county, in these two counties. I mean, if we want to start with or whatever it's called now, down there we want to go to one of the biggest stinking companies on the globe. I would say, I don't know if it's on the globe. Maybe I'm once again blowing it out of proportion, but they're huge. They're huge. There's a number of different, and to me, the way I look at it is this: yes, every dollar does count. Every dollar does count, and every hour spent as a volunteer counts. But man, how are we? Right now, while I'm talking to you, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, the company that I work for, how can I get these guys involved to help? I want to help out of my own time and my own pocket, right? I know a lot of people say that, but to me, this to me hits home in a number of different areas. So as an individual, my goal is to dedicate time, dedicate funds. At the same time, use what little bit of influence we may have in these communities to just challenge some of our business leaders in the communities to say, hey, listen, guys, $250 puts a bed under a child in your community. We ain't talking about Africa. We're not talking about South America. We're not talking about impoverished somewhere else. We're not talking about they don't have any food in Zimbabwe or Kenya. We're not talking about all of that. We're talking about right here. We're talking about right here at this house, right here at home. The people we pass every day, going in and out of Walmart, back and forth out of Lowe's, passing them in Taco Bell. Today, these people are here. These people, our neighbors, are here, and their kids, they don't have any beds to sleep on. I think this, I'm not chastising anyone. I believe this. I believe a lot of these businesses do a lot of good in the community. They do a lot of good regionally, probably even nationally, for whatever charities that they're a part of. I believe this thing needs to be shouted from the freaking rooftops that we got kids in our communities. Because I can tell you this, you let a hurricane go down, tell me who comes to put these blue roofs on and stuff? It's most of our neighbors. Most of our neighbors are getting together. Most of our neighbors are out here in the street cutting down trees and stuff like that and rolling all these trees out of the roads and off of people's houses and stuff. We ain't waiting on nobody else. That's during emergency time. That's during state of emergency. This right here flies under the radar, flies right under that nose.
Yes, sir.
All the time. And these kids are sleeping on piles of garbage. These kids are sleeping on piles of clothes. These kids might be sleeping on like you said, on couches or whatever, sleeping with adults because they just can't afford a bed. And all I'm saying is this: we show up during an emergency, and to me, it may be that this is an emergency we collectively have not seen or heard of much, and it's not necessarily a statement about what you guys have been able to pull off, because you can only do what you can do. But at the end of the day, you've got all of these businesses here in the region. I mean, because here's the thing. You've got everything from insurance companies to real estate companies. You've got companies all over the place making god-awful amounts of money, especially in the real estate game. If they're up around Rayburn or wherever, and they're saying, I'm not trying to step on no toes, but I'm just saying, I know I may be putting you in a little bit of a precarious position because I'm getting a little bit incensed over the fact that we got a hell of a lot more money in these communities than what is dripping out at $60-something thousand. That 90% of it's actually going to put children in beds. You see what I'm saying? The other 10% is going to make sure that the organization is well processed and well maintained. I mean, this is not rocket science to me. Hell, if we wanted to, we could probably call a collective group of churches here to do $10, $20 a month. And out of the churches alone in the 2 counties, for God's sakes, we could put kids in beds. We preach it on Sunday, you know? So I'm going to get off that bully pulpit, but let me do this. Good Lord, good Lord. That's what happens when you make me cry. I start getting all sideways. You know, it's like I told somebody here a while back. I said, I'm too large to run. So my only option is to fight. So if I start tearing up, I'm going to have to fight about something. I don't even know what it is. But man, I feel so tugged on, man. Feel my heart tugged on. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there and you're listening, man, do yourself a favor. Go over to the Facebook page, Sleep in Heavenly Peace, Woodville, on Facebook. Go over to the website and check it out, shpbeds.org. Is that correct? Did I get that right? Okay.
That's the website, yes.
That's the website. Go over to the website, check that out. But go look at the pictures. And here's what I want to challenge you with. Go look at the freaking pictures with the kids sitting on the beds holding the little memos saying what bed it is. I don't know what the hell you did in 2020, 2021, 2022, but for God's sakes, in 2023, let's try to figure out how to give back. And to be honest with you, I can't think of a better way in the world than to put a bed under a kid that needs one. How did they get in touch with you guys outside of, do y'all have any ways of getting in touch with you guys outside of the website? Obviously, all roads end in the website. Like, say, if somebody wants to volunteer, do they need to go fill out an application or any of that stuff, or what do they need to do?
Well, if they want to volunteer, the best thing to do is go to the Facebook page and sign up. Okay. But second Saturday of every month,
okay,
we're going to be at 20, at least for the time being, unless something happens, we'll be at 2091 US 69 South in Woodville. Now, that is right in behind Jerry Caruth's little propane supply, which is a wonderful place to go get your individual propane tanks filled.
Okay, absolutely.
Cornered across the street from Jerry's saw shop. And second Saturday of every month, we're going to be there at 7:45, and we're going to start building beds.
And the best bet you're looking for, obviously any time that anybody can allow is great, but your hope is to potentially get to 50 people for about a 4 to 6
4
hour
to 5
window.
hour.
Okay,
4 to 5 hour period.
4 to 5 hour period. Okay. So 50 people, 4 to 5 hours, second Saturday of every month, 2091 US Highway 69 South. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Is there anything we're leaving out, man? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm fixing to send this up to Flagpole. I'm fixing to tag a lot of suckers here on this video.
Well, other than to say, my wife and I have only lived here 10 years.
Okay.
We just retired here 10 years ago. So we don't know that many local businesses, etc.
Okay.
So any help that we can get learning about businesses, contacting businesses is always appreciated.
Okay.
I've never been a business owner.
Okay.
Or am I ever going to be one? I'm just a 74-year-old, bald, overweight old man trying to have a little bit of fun and make a real difference in his waning years. So any help I can get, any help we can get in finding people, finding businesses to help support us,
right,
is greatly appreciated.
Okay. Very, very cool. Man, gosh, I know we've been trying to sit down. I know we've been trying to connect, man. I am so glad we was able to connect tonight. Golly, I am so glad we was able to connect. Is there any last thing outside of the business contacts and any kind of insight? Where did you guys come from?
Oh, we lived in Houston.
Okay, so you're Texans.
Retired. Oh yeah, we lived in Houston, and we retired up on Lake Amanda in Cominale.
Okay.
And we've been involved in a few other local civic things since we got here. But when the wife heard about this and came to me, well, then this came the number one priority for
That's
what
right.
we do.
That's right. Well, Brian, I really appreciate you taking time with me, man. I really do.
I appreciate you.
I hope, honest to God, if nothing else, maybe we could start a ground fire with this, and if nothing else, get this thing talked about, because I think this thing is extremely, extremely relevant in what's going on. I don't think people understand. I don't think people understand the need. I don't think I understand the need completely. I'm sitting there looking at all those photos, and I'm just extremely blown away with the efforts of you and your wife and the team.
We have a wonderful, wonderful team.
Yeah,
we would not be here without our core team. Let me tell you.
Yeah. And
we've talked with not only people in our organization, but also with educators.
Right.
We're on a first name basis with superintendents from several different school districts here locally. And we are reminded on a regular basis of, if you have children who don't have beds, first of all, they're not getting all of the proper sleep that they need. That means they're not alert and awake and performing in school as they need.
Right.
One of the other things that they're finding out is that when we come out and provide this child or children with a bed, they realize that someone out there besides their own family cares about them.
That's a huge thing. Man, that's a huge thing. I'm telling you, man, people don't get it. They don't get it. My dad was a preacher. I grew up in the church, and sometimes when you'd go and you'd do those outreach, things, and you would take people, you take people food or whatever the case, and people just don't get it. They don't get how that it's out of sight, out of mind, man, to be honest with you.
Yes.
It's out of sight, out of mind, unless it's your kids.
Exactly.
Mr. Brian, I appreciate you.
We even have 2 grandsons, just to give you an idea, that live in Spring, Texas.
Yes.
2 hours from here.
Okay.
95% of every single bed build that we've had since we started, those 2 teenage boys, whether I drove over and picked them up and their father brought them back, or whether I met their father halfway, now they're getting up at 4:00 in the morning on Saturday morning, and they're driving over here to build beds with us.
Wow.
And then turn around and drive home.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. And that's an awesome thing to get kids involved at a young age, to really not just get involved on the build outs and for as much as they can help and serve and do, but also just the awareness at a young age is a big thing.
Yeah, we've had them on deliveries too. They've seen firsthand.
My God. I'm telling you, man, I'm excited about this. I have been excited about this since the first time I heard about it. And I drove away. It was I forget what meeting I was in, but I'd heard about it just in conversation with another gentleman over in Woodville. And on the drive back, I was driving across Danby Bridge, and I just thought, hey, moron, you've got needs here. You've got needs here. You've got people who are in need here. And the first thing we think about is food or water or whatever the case is, those things. And not saying that these families don't need that. There's probably a great need there as well. But, this is a very interesting way. It's not like the monies that's being given to Sleep in Heavenly Peace is going to promote this top-heavy, management-heavy type of situation. It's being pushed out on the boots on the ground.
Yes.
We got tools, we got wood, we got bolts, and we got vehicles to drive to get these things delivered. Now we need volunteers and we need funding, period.
Yes.
Wow. Mr. Brian, I love it, man. I can't wait to see you face to face anyway. And then let's put some beds together. That's how I'm looking at it. And
the next build is February the 11th.
February the 11th. I'm putting it on my calendar. Matter of fact, I think I already have it on my calendar. I missed the last one for some reason. I had a scheduling conflict, but I'd already talked to 2 other people about coming with me. And but neither here nor there. February 11th, you're going to see me there. I'll be there, and we'll get some beds made, man. And matter of fact, I'll go as long as you go. So we'll see how that works.
Fair enough.
Nonetheless, man, I really appreciate you taking time with us, and I appreciate your endeavor. Tell your wife much love on the efforts.
I will.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Not on the Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com. If you like this type of content, then you know what to do. Like, share, and subscribe right here on YouTube.